Welcome everyone to the Brisbane InDesign User Group. Yay, this is it. It's March 2018. Hi, I'm Ian, that's the thing. I'm from Training Brisbane and this is the last Adobe User Group in Australia. There's an official list of Adobe User Groups and there are two, including that one in Sydney, but that's their last meeting. In fact, their last post. So I think they're gone, which is kind of a shame. So May the 9th, the next meeting will be May the 9th. I don't know what we're talking about yet. Those are my proposed dates. They are not the usual first Wednesday of every other month. All right, so they're maybes. Let's flick on. So yes, welcome to The Edge, and I'm Training Brisbane. You can hire me if you need some training. There we go. So we're looking at fun with vectors tonight. So there's in two parts, but it's all just about vectors. Let's go. Oh, except for the news. Yes, so that's my finger with the x-rays. So that's here. There is a plate. So there was a playground accident where I kind of jumped onto this metal grabby thing. The floor was a bit weird.
Where was this?
In a playground playing with my daughter.
Oh, okay.
And yeah, ouch was it. So yeah, this broke into like 3 bits, which means they put a plate in. And it's fine, except that it mostly is straight, but is not quite straight, and it doesn't really bend as much as it should. So I can still do all the shortcuts that I need to. This is a real concern because, like, Control-Alt-Shift-C. Or sorry, I keep teaching people on PCs. Sorry, everyone. Command-Option-Shift-C.
Jeez. I don't even know what you're saying. I just do it in my head and I don't know what I'm saying.
I think it's pretty much.
No. What did you just say?
That's fill. That's okay. So Command-Option-Shift-C is fill frame proportionally.
Oh yes, yeah. Oh yeah. Okay. I don't even use that.
Yeah.
I don't even.
Really?
Oh no, I should.
Yeah.
I don't know what they are. Really.
It's very handy. Anyway, so last week I was in Blackall making interactive artworks with a 360-degree camera. Woo!
That's cool.
Nothing to do with. I did do a tiny bit of InDesign because it uses QR codes. So I use the QR code generator in InDesign to spit out things, which will build into stickers, and then we'll print them out everywhere. That'll look fun, actually. Let me see if I can track something down. Blackall QR code stickers. There we go. So the 360 Blackall trail. You can tell that all the other pages are really exciting. They were, but a lot of people always use QR codes, even though on the iPhone you needed a dedicated app. You no longer need a dedicated app on the iPhone. Just fire up the camera app, point it at a QR code, and it offers you a URL at the top. So because it's now extremely easy, it's actually doable.
It's kind of like, it's novelty, and then, too hard.
Yeah.
There's something that my company is moving into, not quite QR codes, but augmented reality based on actual pictures. So if you get a printed image of, say, one of our examples is a Mercedes, point your camera at it, and you get a VR 3D model of the Mercedes you can pan around.
That's a really, that's just a lovely unrehearsed segue into the presentation I gave on ARKit last year.
Did you guys like?
We didn't. Okay, so if you are curious about AR, then Google ARKit Create World. Okay, stick my name on there as well. It's on my YouTube channel, so if you've got an hour to kill and you want to find out a whole lot more about ARKit, there you go, state of the art. Recorded, etc. And so, lots of fun things. The AR thing where you have a specific magazine or something is like a fairly easy one that you've been able to do for a while. But it's obviously much more relevant to the design world that we're talking about tonight. Anywho, cool. All right, so let's rejoin the presentation exactly at the crucial moment. Vectors. So what are they? Look, we use vectors all the time, I guess, in design. Mathematically drawn paths. They can be straight lines, they can be curves. So fonts are the easiest thing you use all the time, which are guaranteed vector. And TrueType, OpenType, and Type 1 fonts, they're all vector. But Type 1 fonts used to come with a bitmap. Does anyone remember those wacky old days? Because I've got one. like right here. Like here's Adobe wood type ornaments. And so let's have a look. So this is the vector file, which you can preview with FontBook these days. But this used to mean nothing at all. And you had these AFM files, and you had bitmap versions of stuff. And I think I've got some. Yeah, so you need a bitmap version to go along with the PostScript, and that's a bitmap, and it doesn't make sense without it. And this is, it was all really scary. And of course, the original Mac you had to have only bitmaps. It couldn't do vector at all. Yes, well, that was back in the days when if you wanted to type at 15 point, you couldn't have it because you had like 9, 10, 12, 14, 18, 24, 36, maybe 72.
12.5 point.
No. But yeah, back in the day, you used to have a console called a Vectrex. Anyone heard of a Vectrex? Ever seen one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, if you ever want to see one, head to the Computer History Museum next time you're in San Jose, because they've got everything. But Vectrex actually, because you know, in an old CRT TV, the electron gun just moved left to right, left to right, left to right, left to right. It would draw the picture a line at a time. And if you check out the slow-mo guys on YouTube, they've got videos showing this happen. Like, how many tiny parts of a second does it take to draw Mario's hat, for example? And anyway, for these things, I think it even predates that, because actually took control of the gun and went point to point to point to point to point to point to point. So vector art on the screen as vectors. It's very cool. But Asteroids was about as complex as it got. And you can kind of see the little dots there at the vertices, which kind of mess things up. Oh, very much black and white. Yeah. You had color overlays you could put on, like the original Space Invaders. Anyway, that was cool, and you can find out more. But there we go. So computers are way more powerful now. Why do you need vectors? Well, if you need to do something bigger, you can blow vectors up as much as you like. If you need precision, and by precision I mean it's effectively infinite resolution and something's in, something's out. So if you want to make it super precise, you want to use vectors. Vectors are efficient, so if you want a really, really, really small file, vectors are the way to go. However, they're hard to compress. So if you get a complex vector, it can actually make a lower file size if you convert it to a standard old bitmap or raster image, and then compress that as a JPEG. I had to do that with maps in a few. So yeah, if you get maps, you may want to do that, because those can be too complex for some letter devices to display if you try to actually use those. And if you want to reuse different parts of complex artwork at different zoom levels, then sure, vectors means you can make one picture go a really, really long way. All right, but it's all maths. So the vectors that we know are mostly Bezier paths. So that's a Bezier path or curve is a particular kind of parametric curve. And yeah, you can look at the maths. Let's look at the maths. Maths is great. So if you look at Wikipedia, you can find out exactly how to implement your own Bezier curve. Because, you get cubic Bezier curves, and there's the functions, and, if you're curious.
Jeez, I'm glad I could just click and then drag.
Yeah. So yeah, there's lots of info there. I think some of these are animations. Nice. Yeah, it's simple, I guess.
Wow.
But things like this are my favorite thing ever, because they were the first computer graphics I ever made. Stuff like that on an Apple II when I was in grade 6. You draw a line, and then you use the for loop, and then you draw a line from here to here, and then from here to here, and then from here to here. And you get that, and it's amazing! It's my favorite thing ever. And if I play the screensaver, it is still inspiring this stuff today. Which I made in Quartz Composer, which is super awesome, and I love it. But anyway, finger. There we go. So, lines. But not everything is Bezier's, right? The vast majority is, but B-splines. Anyone heard of B-splines?
No.
Vaguely? All right, so here's a program called Motion, Apple's equivalent of After Effects. Lovely program. Okay, so I've set up a mask, and this is a B-spline. Okay, it's a B-spline mask. It's even got like a proper name, B-spline mask. So how does a B-spline mask work? Well, the points can be curved or hard. So let's just zoom in on that. So you've got this little control and it goes in or out. It kind of makes sense, but it's a bit weird.
Yeah,
Sorry?
it's like Illustrator.
Oh, it can make a similar thing. Oh, look, I'm. Please show me stuff I don't know when we get to Illustrator. That'd be great. But I haven't seen B-splines. You've got the curvature tool, which is kind of similar.
The basis of the Illustrator, what Illustrator does.
Not really. No, but what Illustrator does is it does. Where are we? No, well, it does Beziers. Right, so Illustrator doesn't do that. It does Bezier parts.
No, but when you draw like a square these days, you can actually just
Oh,
pull the corners to
different
around.
thing.
Yeah, different thing.
Different thing. Similar. Like similar. Yeah, no, okay, now I know what you guys are talking about. Yeah, it is kind of like that. Yeah, that had me confused. No, that's fine. That's just the corner widget thing. Okay, so in Photoshop you can use vectors, but usually they can be converted to pixels. Depends how you use them, right? So if you use a clipping path to cut out an image, depends how you implement the clipping path. If you use a clipping path as a layer-based mask, yep, you're converting it to pixels. If you don't, if you leave it as a path in the file, it'll be cut out at the resolution of the printer, not the resolution of the image. So if you want super sharp cutouts, leave them as clipping paths and cut them out later in InDesign. That can be a way to make things sharper when they're actually a little soft. But don't use them for... So don't use them for people who have hair. Anyone who has hair should, unless you want a helmet head, do not cut them out with a clipping path. You can even use text in Photoshop EPS, and yes, they get retained as vector out of Photoshop. Don't do that. That would be insane. Okay? So yuck. No, don't. Okay. So these formats are vector. EPS is obviously vector. Not if it's a Photoshop EPS, but just a regular old EPS. An Illustrator file is almost always vector, but little asterisk there is some crossover. So if you use raster effects, then those bits aren't vector. A PDF from Illustrator is vector as well. An SVG is scalable vector graphics. Online vector graphics is generally SVG. And these other ones are not vector, so they're grids of pixels instead. So PNGs, JPEGs, PSDs, unless, of course, the stuff I talked about before with the PSD, and a PDF from Word, and everything else. Nearly everything is not vector. So this nice clean icon is not vector. It's just huge. It looks like vector because it's big enough. And that's the point. At some point it gets made into pixels. Is it good? Is it good enough? Well, it doesn't matter if it was vector or raster then. So it will all be converted to dots. But it depends when you do the conversion. Is it the resolution of the screen, the resolution of the output device? Okay? So you can view up to 64,000% in Illustrator, and if it's still looking smooth then, that's pretty much covering every output device. Even if you got a magnifying glass up to a billboard, you'd probably still see that as smooth, assuming the printing is good enough. But yeah, InDesign doesn't go that far, only about 4,000%. So it's nearly infinite zoom. But yeah, in practice, bitmaps can look as good. All right, so when the vectors get converted into pixels, if you are using pixel preview in Illustrator, you'll want to make sure that sharp lines are still sharp lines. So some designers get super fussy about how you convert vector, because I want to use vector to actually design the icons, how they get converted into icons. Now, unfortunately, it doesn't work the same way as it did back in the day of the Mac when you had like a little paintbrush icon, because we have Retina screens these days. So nearly all Macs these days, but not all yet. MacBook Air is still non-Retina. So nearly all Macs have Retina class icons, so these have actually had to be redrawn quite big. They would have been vector as a source, but they just get converted to bitmap at some point. But if you're looking at iOS, this is the terminology. You get Retina twice as big and 3 times as big. So if you've got an iPhone 10, you're seeing 3 pixels per one original iPhone pixel. And so then then you're screwed, because you just can't get it right everywhere. Because before it was like, oh, well, let's make sure that 1 pixel turned into 2 pixels. And it's like, now it's turning into 3 pixels. And you can imagine how that gets smoothed out, gets messy. Now, you can now use vector UI assets in iOS. Now, it's not being widely used yet, but yeah, you may not need to do your own pixel conversion anymore. iPhones are now fast enough that they're just going to do it on the fly. Yay. Now, does anyone know what's actually happening here? Why it looks all doesn't look just black and white? Why it's all grey? Anyone know what that's? Anti-aliasing. So that's really important. When you do your conversion from vector to pixels, it's got to be good quality anti-aliasing. Now, we'll look at this later on in Illustrator, but remind me if I forget. Trick for younger players, the default output is using crappy anti-aliasing. So put it on the other one, and then it'll be much, much better.
Is
so
that good anti-aliasing?
Yeah, that's fine. That's generally what it should look like. It just looks bad because you've zoomed all the way in. Yeah, my first job out of uni was doing a computer graphics tool where I had to actually implement that, like how to anti-alias a line in computer graphics terms, like draw a pixel this color, draw a pixel that color. And, yeah, low level weird stuff. It was fun.
That's kind of nerdy.
Yes, very nerdy, but it worked. Anyway, mostly this is all just taken care of these days. You don't need to worry about it. All right, so in Illustrator and InDesign, what you use is the pen tool. So the pen tool obviously has got these things. Everyone uses all of these tools. Well, why are you using the tools? Because there's shortcuts to get to all of those things. You don't need to specifically select the tools. Okay, so the pen tool is in Photoshop, Illustrator, InDesign. It works the same way everywhere, and it's really, really helpful. So if you click, you get a point. If you click and drag, you get a curved point. Okay, so do you want a corner? Do you want a curve? Corner, curve. You move a point with the direct selection tool, and you get that by holding Command. And if you hold down Option, you get the anchor point tool, which used to be called the convert anchor point tool. And they made it shorter. And there's what that does. So you probably know all of this, but let's have a quick look. So here's Illustrator. P for pen tool. So click, 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 click. If you want a polygon, so just regular old shapes. Pencil. Okay, click, click and drag for a curve, click and drag for a curve, click and drag for a curve. Click to finish, and you see that one wasn't smooth. So I'm going to hold down the Option key and get my anchor point tool and go back out to smooth it out and make a potato. All right, so if I hold the Command key down, I get the direct selection tool temporarily, meaning I can move stuff. I can click away, get the anchor, move that again, click on that. And I've got the preferences set to show all the paths, so all the handles at once. If you haven't enabled that, show handles where multiple anchors are selected is what you're looking for in the preferences. So you can move any point around, but make sure they're not selected first. Hover, then move. You can move the handles. You generally don't want handles digging into the shape unless you want shape moving like that. And if you hold down Option and get your Convert Anchor Point tool, then you can split a handle, Command click, Option click again, and get little aerials like that to get in and out. So depending on how you want to do it, you may want to do that on the fly. It is actually possible to hold down the Option key and break a point while you're drawing. I don't like doing that, personally. I think Cheryl does. So that's one for you, Cheryl. You like doing it that way. Yay! But anyway, so if you haven't done that before, it's draw, hold down Option, split. So click and so you can also hold down Option to break it and just do another one. Anyhow, so I'm guessing you guys probably know how to use the pen tool, though, for the most part. Great.
Many years of deep etching.
I think everyone's done it at some point in their career.
And remember, you can just zoom and zoom and zoom and zoom and zoom. And if you don't use this style of zooming, it is the Command space, drag left and right. And it's amazing. And in fact, before it was in the Adobe apps, it was in Motion. Motion is where this feature came from.
What are you holding down?
Command and space.
Command space.
Now, Command space will clash with Spotlight, so you need to reassign Spotlight to Control space. Or something else. But Spotlight's great. You don't want to get rid of that. Anywho, so that's practicalities of that. Okay, so how to draw all these things. Hearts are interesting, and there's more. We'll come back to hearts later, but how do we make all of these things? Zoom back out. All right, so a box is easy. It's just click, 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 whoops, click, whoops. Try that again. Pen tool, click, 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 and click. Great. Let's hit escape to just cancel out of that. If you want to do a circle, just always drag sideways. So if anyone ever dares you, hey, bet you need to make circles today, but you can't do it with the pen tool. So go for the compass points around north, south, east, west. Drag always horizontally or vertically. So use the shift key to make sure that happens. So that was east. And holding shift will try to keep it in line as well. Go down, south, west, and then this is the weird one. I have to drag it back out again. There you go, a slightly lumpy circle. The other thing you could do is you could start with a rectangle and rotate the rectangle round, and then use the pen tool to convert its points. Oops. You don't want to hold down Option and Shift the whole time, but a circle is a square with those little angly bits pulled out. And of course the thing that you guys were talking about earlier is the corner widget, which is very B-spliney, I guess. So yeah, the corner widget, if you then, after you've used the corner widget, if you then pick it up with the direct selection tool, you will turn it into a shape. It's Astro Boy's head. Excellent. Great. So we have an Astro Boy's head tool. Okay, so wave. The way to think, if you ever need to explain the pen tool to anyone, when you're putting, a wave is a nice easy thing, and it's just horizontal and vertical again. A wave, there we go. And just make sure that's just a line. Escape to cancel. The thing is, if you imagine that there's a line going out from every part of a curve, so there's one going out like that, and like that, and like that, that's called a tangent. Okay? So the thing is, you want to click where the path changes direction, and this line is 90 degrees to the tangent, or pretty close. So like that. And this line is called the normal. So the tangent is straight out from the line, the normal is 90 degrees around from that, and that's where you click, and that's where you drag to. So there you go. That's the way to explain it. If you need to, if any of your co-workers don't know how this works, show them this. All right, excellent. And a heart. A heart. How would you guys make a heart? Would you go this way, or would you go this way? Left? On the left? Yeah, it usually makes sense. Yeah. So if you go click, click out, click, click out, click, something like that. Oops. I'm going to switch back explicitly to this tool here. Come on. Something more like that. Oops. There we go, it's great. Anywho, there's more than one way to make a heart. We'll come back to the hearts later on. Cool, so if you don't want to use the pen tool, there are lots of other vector-based tools that you could use. Now, the curvature tool came out years ago. Does anyone like it yet?
The what?
The curvature tool.
I don't mind it. I don't mind it, but I use it with the pen.
Okay.
Sometimes it annoys me.
Oh yeah,
So there's certain
I've tried to like it. I really have.
some of the things I'm like, oh yeah, that's good, and it's like, why are you doing that?
Yeah. It goes off on its own tangent.
So this is the curvature tool. All right, so let's find out what the curvature tool does. If you click, 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 see what it's doing with the curvature tool? It makes curves. If you double click, it makes corners. And you can change it later by double clicking or single clicking on a point. So it's like, yeah, I don't actually hate this. And then of course you've got your B-spliney controls. It's like, okay. Now, by the way, if most of us are InDesign junkies and you've ever been wondering why like Illustrator doesn't have, like you can't hold shift to just change one corner or anything, you have to click it again, and then you can just adjust one corner.
Just
that
select
tries-
that corner.
Okay, so you click just the corner you want to adjust, and then you can adjust just that corner. I don't know why the teams don't just get together and decide there is one way to do this identical thing in the two different apps. It's like, kind of frustrating. But yeah, anyway, so B-splines in the corner thingy, kind of similar. All right, so you can draw it by hand. Use the pencil tool. Anyone like the pencil tool?
Some things.
Where is the pencil tool?
It's a little
The pencil tool. If you've got a tablet, it's okay. Double click for more controls. Like if you want it smooth, that's fine. You can send it down to accurate, and you can keep selected, edit selected paths. If you're feeling dangerous, that's because you start a new path near an old path. It continues the path, which is hardly ever what you actually want to happen. So there's that.
Is this the one where you start another, if you deselect that, if you don't
Yeah.
deselect that,
Yeah.
then it'll just take it away? Like it'll disappear?
Yeah, it can do.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's going to make a new path there, but yeah, if you've got a tablet and you're good at this, then it's okay. There is also, you've got those controls, don't forget to play with those. There is also the smooth tool, which you can use and just kind of paint over. Yeah, scribble. A little bit you want to smooth. Yeah,
What's it doing?
yeah, it's smoothing it out.
Smoothing out the really sharp lines.
They were joined. Yeah. Okay, so you can draw it by hand, or you can draw it on a piece of paper and then trace it. Now, when I say trace it, you actually got two options for tracing it. One, put it on a piece of paper and physically trace over it. So as long as it's the right size, that actually works really well. You have a piece of paper. Would you like to draw a small doodle? And then I will trace it.
What am I going to doodle?
I don't care. Anything you like.
Let the pressure come on.
Something easy to trace.
I'll draw a bird.
A bird. Great. Very cool.
That was quick.
Very good. So we now have a picture of a bird on the thing. I'm just going to make a new document because that stuff's really worth keeping. All right. So make sure you've got as big a place as you can to work on. Make sure your pencil tool is selected. Make sure it's held in place firmly and that it's in the right spot. Okay. Tracing around the bird. So drawing on a tablet. Oh, that looks great. Yay! Thank you for drawing the bird. That's now. It might need a little bit of cleanup. So I'd probably be heading to Path Simplify. Preview. Oh wow, that's much better. So play with curve precision. And I think that's looking pretty good.
Yeah.
I like that. So before, after. Straight lines is kind of fun. Not this time.
Use that.
It's like, I actually like that. I'm going to save the cute bird.
Cute birdie.
Okay, cute bird is being saved. Excellent. That's great. And that was not hard. So even if you're, it was a nice doodle, but even me, I'm crap at doodling. I could happily doodle something that's almost there and then blah, blah, blah. Yeah. Although, just get used to doing straight into the tablet. Saves you time. All right.
Always drawing it.
Well, if you're curious about this, then get this one because this was only $40. This is a Wacom 1, but it's not usually available. You have to get it from Aldi when they have it.
Oh, is it right?
So watch for it again in another 9 months, I guess. The Wacom, $40 for a tablet. Bargain. Now, you could make up vectors by filling holes with a live paint bucket. Now, I'm sure I've shown you guys this before. At least some of you will have seen this before. Pick any tool, let's say the line tool, and as you're drawing, it normally just shows you, where the line's going to go, and you release and it makes the line. Well, not if you hold down the Grav key. It makes all the lines.
Oh my god! Hold down what?
The
one was
graph,
that?
so the graph key is the key to the left of the 1. It's also got a tilde on it. So you hold down the graph key with the tilde key, and it puts all the lines in.
Is that what the
wait,
key is actually called?
It is called the graph. It's got 2 characters on it. The graph key is the one down below, and the tilde is the one above.
The graph key. The
Grave, G-R-A-V-E. It's a French accent.
So how did you do that again? Can you start again?
Okay, no, that's fine. I think I need to start a new one. Okay, so you make a document.
Yeah.
Okay, you pick any tool at all, but you'll have better results with the line segment tool, the arc tool.
Okay.
So I'll do it with the arc tool now. So, okay, you guys know what a fiber optic fountain looks like, right? Looks like that.
Aww, that's
It
amazing.
looks like a peacock. It looks like an amazing peacock.
Okay, so my favorite tool to use this with is, say, the line segment tool, because I think we've established that I like these patterns.
Yes, you do.
So I'm going to come down here and do the same thing up like that. Now, I probably want to just come down here and do this as well. And now that I've got a few of those, I usually tend to select it all and do the live paint bucket, which is this one here. So with the live paint bucket, I like to pick a color. Sideways left and right arrows let you change the color you're currently using. We have swatches active. Yep, let's go with that one. Okay. So click, turns it all into a live paint bucket. Scribble, scribble, scribble. Right arrow, scribble again. Right arrow, scribble again. Keep scribbling with new colors.
bucket.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, wait. You so lost me.
Okay, we use
Am I
K.
not even
So we use. So I held down the graph key while I was drawing with these shapes to get those patterns. And then I've pressed K to go, selected it all, pressed K to go to the live paint bucket, and now I'm scribbling with, to fill in the holes, because you don't have to draw all those shapes. The live paint bucket makes up shapes between the lines. It interprets them as shapes. And once you've done all of that, once you've done all of that, it really does look cool if you get rid of the lines. Select it all. I have to select it all again. Come on. No lines.
Oh wow.
Awesome. Really like that. It also looks good in white.
Oh yeah.
Nice. And it's infinite stone. So, you can now make up, like there's a wall. I'd be happy putting that on a wall.
Yes.
I'd be happy using that as the background for an annual report, and then using that on the next page, and then that on the, well, not that, that on the next page, and it's great fun. Love it, fun technique. Vectors, aren't they fun? And remember, because you can zoom in as much as you like, so I could use that on a different wall, and then I could zoom out, and I could use that, let's say that on another wall. It's like, why not?
Okay, so can you quickly, and I'm really slow, but can you go back? So what do you press to get to the live paint?
K. The shortcut is K. I always press K because the live paint bucket hides under the shape builder and it just moves around, so K. K for the paint bucket. And the key thing with a paint bucket, pick a swatch, left and right arrow keys move you to the next and previous color in the swatch.
And right arrow key.
Yep. So yeah, if you can make something complicated, you get an awful lot of mileage out of it in vector art. It's great. Cool. Okay, so let's head back. What else can we do? You can combine fancy things in Illustrator if you wish, and there's lots more things you can do in Illustrator to get cool vectors. But it's intermission, so snack time.
It says there.
Let's take a break.
I'm still writing notes.
And welcome back from the intermission. There are still passion fruit flavoured lamingtons. They are extremely strange. I urge you to try them because they'll never happen again. Cool. So I think now we've got effects back in the presentation.
Okay.
Effects in Illustrator. Yeah, hey. Okay, so once you've drawn the shape, you can use effects and automation to do a whole lot more. Now, I'm not going to go through every little thing you can do here. That thing we've got there on the right is roughen. Who's not using effects in Illustrator?
Not generally, but I know they're there. I just don't know how to use them.
Okay.
Very sporadically.
Yeah. All right.
That's right.
Yeah.
I'm still doing that at home. I'm going to go home and be like, oh my god.
So here's a cute bird. Here is a cute bird with ruffin. Preview.
He got so upset. He got hit by lightning.
This could be cool for a way to do some animation.
Yeah, I was
Yeah.
just thinking that'd be awesome.
Oh yeah, that'll be cool. Yes.
But you'd want to script that and you want to
Is it
export a few different.
An electric shock.
Yeah, it's kind of fun.
Just that style, like where every single thing is.
Yeah, and you can stack your effects as well. So if I leave ruffin there and I go back and I want to do pucker and bloat, I can make it even more lightningy, or go the other way as well. And you can use the appearance panel to swap those two around, or to edit either of them. So I can say, look, that ruffin is insane. Let's take it down a bit. Preview. God. Okay. Oh, that looks terrific. Oh, that's good. Okay. That looks like a puff of smoke. Anyway, so you don't have to draw every shape. Just get into effects and explore those. You can do symmetry. And we did do this before. Does everyone remember the symmetry thing?
No, but I'd like to know.
The last time I had to draw a heart, actually.
Yeah, I was going to say when you're doing hearts, I've only ever drawn half a heart and then
Yeah, then
Yeah.
reflect.
Yeah.
Okay, so you can do stuff kind of live if you want to. So if I just make a group from that thing, okay, now I put an effect on the group. What's the effect? Transform, and let's do a reflect X around from that side. And there's nothing on there, but that's on the group, right? So if I make stuff in the group now, I need to make sure I'm drawing in the group. I need to make sure it's in the right place, and of course it's not in the right place. Let's look at the transform and let's flip on the other side. Is that what I want? Reflect X. See, I wrote an article telling people how to do this so I wouldn't have to remember it myself. Copies 1. That's what I wanted. Okay. So now if you draw stuff and you draw it in the thing, you have to make sure it goes in the thing. It'll draw on the other side. So actually I think I've remembered, and what I need to do is double click to get into the group in isolation mode. And now it's going to work.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So
Oh, that's really interesting.
Wow.
So,
I think I made a note of this last time. It wasn't.
So what makes it part of the group? Is it you've drawn a?
I've put an
you've
effect
drawn
on the
an
group.
area?
Yeah, I've drawn a box.
Okay.
So that's its space for doing the reflection.
Okay.
And so because then you put the effect on the group above that,
Okay.
and then anything you put in the group is going to reflect.
Okay.
So
How do you make it a group? Is it just
Command G.
G.
yeah.
And it's a reflect effect.
Yeah, it's actually transform.
Transform.
Yeah, so I'll just step back out.
So,
So yeah, the effect is here. It is a transform. So it's reflecting at the moment from the center and doing one copy with reflect X. This is not the only way you can do it though. So if you want to do this another way, I'm going to copy that group and go somewhere else and make another one. All right.
It's a Yeti.
So this time I'm going to change the transform so it's not reflect X, but is in fact go around a certain angle. So let's go, so if we go 30 and do 11 copies, not 111, oh my god. Okay,
Okay, sorry.
yep.
Can you go back?
So, well, okay. So this is make a white box,
Yes.
put it in a group, select the
Put
group,
it in a group, select the group.
effect, transform, or distort and transform, which will give you this. And I'm doing a rotation of 30 degrees. I'm doing 11 copies rotated around the center. That's it. And everything I put in there will now be, so let's do that
which
again.
is a lot more powerful than just rotating and copying.
Yes.
Oh yeah,
Yeah,
way
because you
way
can-
way more fun.
You can do something freehand, which is amazing.
Yeah. So let's just select all of that, but not the base. Let's lock the base. All right. So let's just delete a heap of stuff here. See what I've got. This would probably have been faster if I'd done something. Wow, I don't want to select the group. Let's just hide them. That's quicker. All right. So brush tool.
Oh, I love that. I want that on my wall.
Well, conveniently, I've done this with a brush, so now I've got a brush stroke repeated over the whole thing, so it's just using the basic brush.
Oh.
Of course, you can use any library to get whatever you want,
And so
like
if you
artistic,
change that,
chalk,
you
charcoal,
can
pencil.
change- okay.
Oh, yeah. So this is just one shape, one little shape, and I do it with that, and that's okay. It'll do it. It'll get there. Yeah.
Oh,
Wow.
completely different.
Yeah, that's a bit bizarre, isn't it? Let's go back to something sensible.
Sorry to be a pain, but can I ask you to just go back and do it really basic? Just
Oh, that's
step by
because
step
he
one.
selected the box as well.
Sure. Yeah, I selected the box, which is a mistake.
We draw a box, we draw a shape.
I'm
Am I
putting-
the only one who's not grasping this?
It's all right. Well, look,
No, but it
there will
doesn't
be a
hurt to
video.
go.
Oh, there'll be a video.
There'll be a video. So,
But you're also really quick.
yeah, sorry. So, all right, one more time. Oh, that looks great.
Yeah, that looks amazing. Okay, but I'm saying the step before that.
Yeah,
This
yeah,
is
I'm
the step
stepping
of-
back.
okay.
It's all right. Doing it again. It's all good.
Okay.
So, make a rectangle.
Yes, got it.
Oops, make a square.
Make a square.
Ideally, no fill, no stroke.
Okay.
Command G to group it. With the group, the group is currently selected.
Yeah.
Effect, distort and transform. Okay, I'm going to make this one easier. I'm going to do it at 60 degrees, and I'm going to do how many copies, everyone?
Come on.
5.
5.
So however many 360 divided by 6 is 6 minus 1.
Yeah, okay.
So then you've got that applied to the group, but nothing in the group. So you go into isolation mode by double clicking on the group, and then anything you add. That actually, whoops, I didn't manage to go into isolation mode there because I've got an empty thing. Okay. That didn't work either. I'm going to have to make something and throw it in the group manually, I think. Where's the thing that I keep making?
I thought it was right up the top. See the first one, the very
This
first one.
would work if you drew your thing first and then whacked your box on and then grouped them. Yes.
Yeah, it would. There we go. I'll just throw that in there. That'll make it easier. So you throw a thing into the group, it gets
That
repeated.
is so cool.
Then I can double click to get in. Now I'm in isolation mode in the group, and now I can just draw some little.
Aw.
Oh, I love this. I'm just.
Ooh. I went outside the box, I think.
You're
Lovely.
a natural.
I also have an article about this which takes you through this step by step as well, so don't feel like you have to get it all from this one thing. Okay, so we're also using brushes there. The brush tool does awesome things. You can make your own brushes. There's also a massive library of existing brushes. There's the width tool. Okay, width tool. Let's step back out. Anyone not used the width tool before?
I don't think so.
Okay, so if you do a path, whatever the path is like, Shift W gets you to the width tool, and then a path can have different widths.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah,
No.
It's been a
Really?
it's been there for a while.
yeah.
Yeah.
Okay, so what?
Shift W gets you to the width tool, and then you can change the width of a path. It also has this thing, which is the variable width profile. You can change any shape to use a profile over the length.
okay, yeah,
This is like using a very simple brush, but it's in fact changing the width of it. And so, using a brush, and remember the libraries, using one of these is kind of like that. It puts that shape. This is an art brush that puts that shape over the brush. Just stretches that out over the whole thing. Yeah.
Shift W.
Yeah, so they're great.
What is that actually doing when, like the first time you did it, when you actually pulled the one section?
Yeah, it makes that path segment get wider.
Okay, so does it mean that there's a vector line on the outside, or is it still
Nope.
on the middle?
Still in the middle.
Okay.
Still in the middle.
Okay.
And you can apply it. Yeah, you can apply it
okay,
to
then you
to brushes as well. Like
Okay.
it's like it is a variable width, but you can add more. So you can just make it go out and in and out and in as
Okay,
much as you
so-
like, and hold down some modifier keys. Like if you want it on one side only,
Yeah.
hold down Option. Start dragging, then hold Option. There you go. It's pretty weird. Anyway, look, there's so many fun things you can do. Offset path. You guys used offset path? It's old school. Oh, I thought I had one. Maybe not. No, I've probably deleted it, so let's do another one. So if you ever want to have concentric circles, you might do a circle and then do object path. This is where all the cool stuff lives. Offset path. Preview. Now I've got another path. Or I could do that with the heart and do object path, offset path, and get another one.
Is that how you do it?
Yes. So that's how you do it. There's that.
Is this new to everybody, or is it just me?
It's okay. All right. So if you've got a,
Offset path.
you might also do a stroke. Let's say I do a thick stroke like this, and I go to the stroke panel, which has all kinds of cool things in it. Let's say I want to put a stroke around that stroke.
Yep.
Object, path, outline stroke.
Yeah. Oh, okay.
And now this is an outline, and now I can add a stroke around the stroke.
Yeah.
I'm sure you know what's coming next.
Oh, so you can keep doing it. Of course.
Ooh, that's a bit weird. All right. Now, actually, one thing I forgot to put in the notes, you don't actually have to do fancy footwork like this to get this kind of effect. So let's say I've got this shape here. Do you know the appearance panel lets you add another stroke?
How did you do that? Just add a layer, did you?
No,
Add a
this one adds an
extra
extra
effect.
stroke, this one adds an extra fill.
Okay.
So,
Oh, wow. Appearance.
and that is still editable, which is great. So Graphic Styles is good inspiration for that, and Graphic Styles has libraries which have lots of examples of things you can do. Yay. All right. Okay. Arrowheads with the scissors tool. You guys ever wondered how to get like a recycling symbol? Okay, so do a little circle, and then you put arrowheads on
Yeah.
the circle, right? And this is the only good use of the scissors tool. Where is the scissors tool? Oh,
The eraser.
erase. That's right. That's right. There's the eraser. There's the scissors tool. Bing, bing. That's right. And then you put in a couple more, and then you delete the bits you don't want. Hey, and we're done. Ta-da! Yeah, or something like that. So yeah, that's lots of fun. Cool. There is a saw tool. Does anyone know of a more pointless tool than the saw tool?
Yeah, what is the sort?
The knife. Okay, I'm calling it the saw tool because you have to make this noise. And now, if you grab the direct slide, you have two halves.
Oh, okay.
I never want to do that. I never want to do that, ever.
Unless you wanted to, like, if
have a
you've
broken
got a
heart.
heart.
Yeah, an Easter egg.
Yeah.
So cheesy.
But remember, all of
then I
this,
had that bit more
infinite
accurate.
zoom. Anyway, you wouldn't do that by hand. It's just quite useful. Anyway, there we go, Illustrator effect. Also, Illustrator Shapes and Transform panel. This was newish, only a few years old. So if you have, yep. So if you draw a circle, you've got a circle, and it's not very exciting unless you find the Transform panel. And the Transform panel lets you say, well, you know what?
Oh, really? So you don't.
Yeah, Pac-Man. And so if you want to make the world's best graph, which is portion of graph that resembles Pac-Man
Yeah.
versus portion of graph that does not resemble Pac-Man, you invert this bit of pie, and then you've got the graph,
you don't have to
and
do
it's
that
done.
graph thing.
Yay! Isn't that cool?
Yeah.
Oh, no, I don't want to.
That's cool.
And of course you have to make it yellow. Oh, come on. Yeah. Stupid thing. Okay. Go away. Yay.
Nice.
Best pie graph in the world. All right.
I could have used
Okay.
that the other
And you can do donuts as well, sort of. But anyway, there's also Pac-Man, but
do you
not
do
stars.
donuts?
You can't do stars with the polygon. You can't make a polygon tool into stars unless, of course, you're in InDesign, because that's the polygon star tool. Now, let's have a look. We're back in InDesign. Right, InDesign. So InDesign's a bit different. Now, when you're in Illustrator and you draw a star or whatever, you can press the arrow keys to make more, but here it just makes a grid of them, right? So it's like, well, that's a bit disappointing. It's useful, sort of. But if you tap the space bar, you get your Illustrator controls. That's right, ladies and gentlemen. Tap the space bar, and then it turns into this Illustrator mode.
Okay.
And still hold Shift to release, and you'll get your star. That's in InDesign. So if you're in InDesign, yes, you can do that. If you want a star, and you want a bit freeform control about what the star looks like. All right. Pathfinder. Good. You guys know about Pathfinder, I'm assuming?
Yes.
Good. Right, so Pathfinder has lots and lots of options. If you used to use Pathfinder and you're wondering why they've changed it, I don't know why they changed it, but they did. So, Star Tool on top, make it a different color. All right. So, Pathfinder, which lives there, which was already, okay, there it is. Right, so these modes will do unite, a minus front, or whatever. But if you read the note, option click to create a compound shape. That used to be the default. So now when you unite, you just get one shape and you've lost the overlapped area.
Yep.
But if you hold option, you get the old school way to do it, which gives you separate things you can still move around.
Oh, that's nice to know.
Option. So when you've got an outline on that, it's, outlines around the outside, but you can still do it.
Hit expand to get rid of the additional part of the shape, wasn't it?
Yeah.
I just always take a copy and then do it.
Yeah, so if you look in layers, you'll see that this
That's
is
so much better.
this is actually two separate things, and you can add extra things into that group as well. Yeah. So Pac-Man wants to join the fun. Excellent. So flexible is always good. Whenever you can combine things like in a Boolean operation like this, like Boolean shape operations, just logic for shapes, it's great fun. Much easier than drawing things by hand. But yeah, use option to make it non-destructive. The advanced options are the ones down below. So Illustrator has the non-destructive options, but it also has destructive options. So if I was to select those two things and look at my Pathfinder, let's just tear it off. Super-doo. Okay, so these ones underneath, called Pathfinders, are always destructive. And so divide can actually be pretty helpful. It's like a broken stained glass window. I like that. Cute. All right. So there's lots of other ones there. Clipping paths, if you need to cut something out. So if I want that whole thing to just only be shown over a particular area, I might group it, draw a rectangle or something on top of it, bring it in a bit, select the two, Command 7 to mask it. So Command 7 is one of these, clipping mask.
Yeah.
That's very, very old school, but Command 7, you just need to remember that one.
Yeah.
Kind of similar. Average and join. You guys know about average and join, right? So you have two paths, and you want those 2 points to be together at last. Command J does that for joining. And you can also average them, which is, I believe, Option Command J, and they will then move together. And there is now a join tool. I can't remember where it is, anyone? Oh,
What is it?
the
Average?
join tool, no shortcut, and you just join them.
Oh,
Hey.
join tool. Never knew that was there. Okay, what was the other one? Was average and join?
Average and join are both in the menus path, join and average are there.
Join and average. And so, what did you, for the average, you just drew over it? No.
You select the two
select
with
two.
the, I usually can use the direct selection tool, but the lasso works just fine as well. Lasso is probably the better tool, really. Okay. All right. Use smart guides to line things up. So if you're trying to center things, because you've got two concentric circles to make a donut, just use the smart guides to line things up. And we did the arrowhead with the scissors. Reversing path direction. This is obscure until it's not. If you've never had to reverse path direction, congratulations. Reverse path direction. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Good demonstration.
Yeah, it's actually very, very useful if you've got a weird compound path. Sometimes you can get weird things like the center of an O, for example, is the only thing left in a shape in some contexts, and you can do some weird tricks and somehow recover. Cool, so what can't Illustrator do that InDesign can? You can't repeat a sequence of transforms in Illustrator. Okay, what the hell are I talking about? All right, here we are in InDesign. Here's a star. I'm going to use my smart guides to center it on the page. I'm going to press R to get to the rotate tool. I'm going to rotate around its center point, which is the default. I'm going to start rotating it. I'm going to hold down the Option key before I release to make a copy. Now I'm going to scale, and I'm going to start scaling, and I'm just going to hold Shift to go a little bit in. All right, that's it. They're the two transforms. Command Option 4, and you'll see that I've moved something, and the repeating has screwed it up. So you can repeat your last two things. So a copy was part of the rotate, and then a scale, but evidently I didn't center and scale it. So if I want that to be cooler than that, I need to make sure that when I scale, I get it right. So if you make a mistake, like you've moved it and then you put it there, you've got to stop, drop it, pick it up again.
Okay.
So otherwise it repeats that transform as part of the pack. So I'm going to try that again. So I'm going to Option drag to make a copy. Now just rotate. And now scale down. Whoops. So whoops, S for scale. Moving it down and just holding the Shift key. Right. Command Option 4. So you can't do that in Illustrator. You can only repeat one thing. So you have to then do it with a dialogue and an effect and repeat it a certain number of times. But it's not quite as flexible. So unfortunately, these examples are not quite as cool as I've done before, but hey, that's, I'm afraid, what we're getting tonight. So I'll try a rectangle,
How many
rotate.
repeats will it do? How many transforms will it repeat?
As many times as you press it. That's better. Woo!
Oh, that's cool.
And then you want effects, set that to 70. Ooh. Nice.
If you change the colour of one of them, that would be interesting, because then you could see.
Well, that's helpful.
Probably set that down for a bit lower. Anyway, so that's easier to do in InDesign and Illustrator. And fancy corners. Everyone uses fancy corners, I assume?
Yes. Yeah.
No. You don't use fancy corners. Nobody's translating from Quark. No, I'm talking fancy corners. No. Fancy corners are fancy. Fancy corners. Okay, so the quiz question is, how do I make a boat from a rectangle using just the corner controls? Well, yes. Okay.
Just the corner controls and fancy corners. What shortcut are you using there?
Okay, so it's a little bit tricky. Shift adjusts one corner.
Yeah.
I think that's boat-like. So Shift adjusts one corner. Alt or Option adjusts, changes the style.
Okay.
And so Shift and Option together.
Yeah.
There you go, that's better. So Shift and Option together will change the style of just one corner. The stupid thing is you can't keep cycling it though, because eventually it goes back to no corner and moves the bloody diamond. It's like, guys, if I wanted no corner, I would just have no corner. So anyway. So yeah, Shift to do just one. So completely different from the thing we did earlier, but Illustrator can't do fancy corners, or inset corners for that matter. Like at least fancy corners are bad enough you can hate them, whereas inset corners like, I don't hate them, but anywho. All right. Okay, speedruns, vector speedruns. Now we're not going to go through many of these, but they're the links. Okay, so we'll have a look at these links. This is how to draw stuff. Some of these are great. You'll want to be in grids. Now you can't see it on the projector there, but there is a grid pattern underneath that. So draw grids so you can keep things straight. So this dude who is Australian shows you how to do stuff. He's not speaking at any of this. This is how you can make a heart. You make a thick line. That's it. It's a thick line.
Clever.
And you can curve it if you want.
OMG.
Oh, that's really cool.
4 different ways to make hearts. A Wi-Fi symbol.
Oh, cool.
Pathfinder. Okay, so this is strategies. How do you make things? This is pain. I'm not going to demo this one. Oh man. Make it bigger. Complex Pathfinder. Expanding, turning points into paths, putting points into fills, doing some boxes, doing some more Pathfinder, turning those into a thing, making them, punching them out again. Okay, or find someone.
What?
2 circles. Dashed line.
Oh, yeah. That's cool.
Very cool. Snowflake. This is using the reflection thing that we did earlier. So draw one bit of a snowflake, rotate around the center. This is to sort and transform, 60 degrees, this time around the bottom. Ding! Still editable. Drawing half a shield, reflecting the other half of the shield. Okay, now, he's also got this one. This is the other link in the presentation, where he's got lots more with less explanation, which is great. So note he's definitely using a grid. How awesome is that?
Oh, that's really awesome.
Ah,
You did it so freaking quickly.
it's part of the puzzle. And how to do a skull. It's too cute to be a skull.
Oh, crossbones.
Cute. Very cute. So to get that slightly bigger thing, it's just, offset path. And then use that one to punch out. Magnet was great, actually. This one's really weird. Okay. Got an infinity symbol. Take the middle bit out. Make a black square. Turn it into a black and white thing like that. Make that into an art brush. Repeat that over the brush. Oh yeah.
What?
How cool is that?
That's freaking awesome.
Look at the shape of the thing of it. Ah, so cool. Make a rocket. Anyway, look, you get the idea. there's so many cool things. I'll leave some of these as a surprise. How to make a Dropbox.
Ah, cool.
It's a box. Folding box down. Reflecting box. There we go.
Makes you wonder why I bother.
It's the reason you bother. It's great. And yeah, there's a screwdriver. There's an umbrella.
Oh, umbrella. No, of course. Okay. Oh, of course. Oh my gosh, isn't that clever? Oh, did he use that thicken?
Width tool, yeah.
Yeah.
I think so. So look, there's lots and lots of nice tricks out there. You don't always have to do things the fancy way, but I'll just show you something which will help you if you don't do anything like this. Is if you do a star, and make a star with lots and lots of points. So we're here in Illustrator, so up and down a bit, okay? And then stretch it out. Okay, good. That was holding down the Command key at exactly the right moment. Okay, so if we've got that, and I'm going to have to, that's already 1 point. Right, that's too small. We're working too small here. Let's make this bigger. All right, so if you want to do something like that, do you guys remember the way to get these points to actually be points and not chopped off?
Yeah. Is it stroke?
Stroke.
And the stroke, yeah, the mitre, is it?
Yeah, it used to be called mitre limit, now it's called limit. So keep cranking the limit up until it goes. Okay, so my favourite thing is this is what the lasso tool is born to do. Select the middle points, so you can rotate them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Anywho, I like that one.
So how did you do that? Rotate then?
R, and then click and drag.
No.
Anyway, you can use grids, and so just so you know that in Illustrator, if you want to use grids to do this stuff, it might help you to make just a relatively small thing. So if I go, actually I'll just go for a web preset, and maybe I'll just do 500 each. So you can view grids, show grid, which might help you quite a bit. And you can also then make sure you are snapping to the grid so that when you do your pen points, you are going to end up exactly on grid lines, which will help you an awful lot if you're freehanding stuff like that. You can also view pixel preview, which means that you don't have the live zoom anymore, but when you zoom in, it's actually going to show you the actual pixels that you're actually going to get. Actually, it looks kind of cool when you move it around. Sorry, that was fun. Yeah, so if you want to do a pixel preview, that's what you do. Otherwise, it's back into infinite zoom land and it works fine.
Why do you need pixel preview?
If you're designing icons
Okay.
and you want to know exactly what you're going to get. Cool. All right, but if you want to share your vector art in a way that everybody can use, not many people actually have programs that can use vector, so they can see it in a PDF, but they can't really do much with it. You can use vectors in Motion. So if you want to do vector-based motion graphics, After Effects will do it as well. But in Motion, it's a little tricky. So if you save as a PDF, you can import them. But if you ever do this, you have to uncheck fixed resolution. So let's say I was going to find a PDF. Name matches PDF. What do we got? A logo. What is that a logo for? Great, that'll do. Okay, so if I drag in my logo, okay, so it looks kind of crappy. All right, so media, inspector, select thing, media, not fixed resolution. And if that was actually built properly, then it would have worked, but clearly it didn't, so what's going on? Oh, it's absolutely tiny, so I'm actually looking at the pixels in the thing. I've had to zoom in quite a lot. You see now it's getting better. So I'll zoom back out, and at 100% that looks fine, and at that it still looks good. Whereas if I'd left it on fixed resolution, it would look pretty bad.
Oh, yeah.
All right, so if you're ever working with PDFs, then yes, fixed resolution off if you want to do it, or use fixed resolution but just increase the size. and that'll look fine. So you're always going to have to pick your points about how much memory you've got, what kind of speed you want, is vector art the right choice for what you're doing, blah, blah, blah. Cool. And you can turn paths into motion paths, but you might as well just draw a Bezier shape natively in Illustrator if you want. There's a Bezier path tool, and you can just click and drag, and it works just like Illustrator does. Except that if you want to, you can use a B-spline. Kind of fun.
What's a Bezier better for versus a B-spline?
We're used to Beziers and we're not used to B-splines.
Okay.
Beziers are
When
used
would
more in like some higher-end third-party compositing apps for like selecting something for a mask. So it's more about the area and less about the actual edge.
Okay.
It's a bit easier to control where the edge goes, relatively speaking, in and out a bit,
Yep.
as opposed to Bezier where it's more about positioning the points exactly where you want them.
Okay.
But yes, if you have to work with people who only have Office, turn them into a font, because everyone can use fonts. So glifter.com if you want a font with the airport symbols. You guys remember my old airport film? Maybe? I made a short film called Airport, which uses all those things. Have you guys really... wow, this group has been around for so long that...
Come on and show us.
I'm not going to play the whole thing, but... okay, so this airport movie was done for the Sydney Film... Well, it was entered in the Sydney Film Festival. It played in that. And then I got it to Cory Doctorow, who's a blogger, and he put it on Boing Boing, and then it blew up a bit. And a lot of people saw it. So this went viral before viral was a big thing. It was like 2006, 2007, something like that.
How long is it?
Or 2006 it must have been. Oh, it's
5
like
years ago.
5 years ago. This one I put it on Vimeo though. And it was in a few other mini film festivals as well, but it just uses those little symbols. This was all done in Flash, because Flash is actually vector art as well. And this is my favourite. Look at that! Did you see the bubble? Did you see the bubble? The bubble goes through the... Oh my god, best thing ever. Okay, that's the best moment in this whole movie.
Play for a little bit.
Sure.
Just a little.
Okay, well this is free and online, and someone from Microsoft saw this online when it went viral, and Microsoft hired me to do stuff because of this video.
Oh.
And so then they flew me to Boston to film stuff at the trade show. So yeah, I got to fly around the world because I made a free film.
Yay!
Yay, it was great. And then it led to other stuff and other stuff. Yeah, it's really good. Snowballed, long time ago. But yes, that is also available in a font called Airport, which is it's easy to make. So you need to export each character or each symbol into an SVG. You can drag them into the glifter.com website, yada, yada, yada. It's really good. And all those airport signs were drawn by a couple of people for an organization called AIGA, A-I-G-A, American Institute of Graphic Arts, I think.
Yeah.
And yeah, I got to exchange emails with the dude who made them. Because he saw the animation and liked it. It's like, so
Did you do the
exciting.
animation just for fun? Or?
Yeah. This is fun. And also stills from that animation got to go in a book called Graphic Design Referenced, which you can buy today on Amazon if it's not out of print yet. But I'll bring it in. So I'm quite pleased. That's good. Anyway, if you need more vector art, I've got tooltip drawing there. Great. So you can use Keynote pages and numbers, which is what we're in right now. I believe I have shown you guys, at least some of you, this before. The shape tools have now got clip art in here. So all kinds of clip art. And if you're using Keynote pages and numbers, they deal with the vectors pretty well. You can scale things as much as you like. You can double click and then put text in it. You've got quite extensive shape controls. If you want to change color, you've got gradients, even advanced gradients. You can do lots and lots of things with it. You can do borders. You can put a fuzzy edge on the border. There's good shadows. I mean, okay. You thought shadows were boring, and sure, drop shadows are boring, but curved shadows aren't boring. Look at that.
Yeah, that's nice.
Why can't Illustrator or InDesign do anything like that?
Why?
come on, guys, we need new tools.
Yeah.
We want to make new cool things that look cool.
Yeah.
Anyway, so this is
stuff manually.
yeah. So this is like clip art that is not terrible.
Yeah.
Okay. However, whoops, I should have just hit play. But a lot of clip art is terrible. So really try not to use clip art unless you're using it ironically for clients you hate.
Can you use that clip art in InDesign?
Yes, you can.
So can you take the curved drop shadow as well?
Well, okay, if you export to PDF, then yes, you can import it. If it's pure vector, then it's just pure vector, which makes charts and things you make in all these apps really good. But if you copy and paste, it doesn't really work very well. Oh, actually, it did work today. It's just a bit low res, but it is rasterized. But the shadow came across, so yeah, I guess if you make it big enough, you'd be okay. It's kind of cool. Looks like papercraft. I like it a lot. The background is not vector, so let's try this with. Let's try making another one. What am I doing? Okay, let's copy that and that. Copy, new, white, go. Select, delete, paste. Okay, so if we export that, what are we going to get? So let's get rid of the line on that. Export to PDF. Go. Untitled 4, go. Blah. Okay, on the desktop, called blah. There it is. Open in Illustrator. Yep. Doesn't understand something about something. All right, so I think the gradient, it didn't understand the gradient, so it's made a weird gradient. Probably have to redo that. But that's okay. The shape is fine. Yeah, so it didn't understand the advanced gradient, so that's all right. Now the other one, so that's a fill in, that's using it as a clipping path and putting it behind, that's fine. This, yeah, that's fine. So it's vector, but it's got a bitmap fill inside. There's actually texture inside that,
Yeah.
but this is vector.
And the drop shadow is
Lowish res, yeah. Yes, so that is as good as it could be, except for the resolution of it. So
But
if
like
you
you
make
said,
it
if you made it
huge,
big,
yeah, make it huge. So if you do this in Keynote, you can make a document which is whatever size you want. Hello. Not that big. But yeah, just make huge things. Sometimes you get amazing tools that only exist in video. So I've made stuff in Motion that I've made huge when I wanted some really cool graphics.
Yeah.
They're not vector. Oops. Okay. So yes,
On
every Mac. Yeah, yeah, and it's online at iCloud.com too. So you can use it on PC if you really have to, but it's not as good. It's pretty good though, not perfect. Okay, so bad vector art. I have a collection of bad vector art here. This is a bunch of vector art that I got as part of a mega bundle. It was like $30, and it has actually been useful every now and again, so I can get examples that I can then redo properly later. So they all come with bitmaps as well, which are easier and quicker to see because EPSs still take a while to preview. Mm-hmm. But you know, it's useful to have a little bank of these. But if you want ones that people have actually used, then you probably want material design icons from Google. They're pretty widely used, and get them in a font. This is in every format. You know, this is not unhelpful, but some of these are terrible. I do mean terrible. Let's open that up. Too small. I don't like these at all. They've got at least they're all in the same weird way. Like it's like they've got people. The people are boxy little weirdo people.
Does that other one have like a scarf on or something?
Person with scarf on. Oh dear. Yeah, I don't know. There's 1,500 icons from Glyph Ocean. What do we got? Oh yeah. Is this where they get really bad? No, they're just the old. When you want the old Twitter icon, the old Skype icon, an imitation YouTube icon.
Yeah.
Wow, I know where to go. What is that?
ICQ.
It's pretty bad.
Kind of sad I recognised it.
Some of these. I think some of these are especially bad. But look, you don't have to draw any of this stuff. As much as my recommendation can't be to draw everything by hand because you need a ton of icons in a theme, and so many people have done it already. So, you know, I've never really found a use for these because who wants a mouse icon that looks like that?
Yeah.
Ugh. That's not even a good pen tool. What font's that? Come on. All right, so if you needed to do a series of clock faces, I'd probably do that myself, but, you know, search out there and find something that's not super terrible. But a lot of these are pretty bad. Yeah, here's the really the bad ones.
Oh.
What? You don't want to use that?
Oh, like
Or
it's
that?
nice, thank God there.
Oh, with papyrus and
Makes us
everything.
look
Oh.
better.
Oh, I think I want to use that on my next client's contact page. Oh dear. Party like it's 2011. Woo! Happy Halloween, everyone. Oh, look, yeah. The problem with clip art is it's just terrible and predictable and awful. Yeah. I don't think there's much point trying to draw a bottle. Just take a photo. Take a photo of the bottle. Do you need it to be that big? Anyway. Yeah, I could maybe find a use for that. Yeah. Anyway, so there's lots more vectors out there. Feel free to find them if you need them. Are there any questions?
We've been asking
Yeah.
You have?
Asking along the way.
along the way.
Cool.
Yeah. Amazing. Good. Thank you.
Great. All right.
My homework is to go and do all those things.
Yeah, do all those things. So any requests for next time? If you have any additional suggestions, please shout them out because it's
Okay.
text cleanup, text processing.
Okay.
That's, yep.
So yeah,
Okay. Any more votes for text processing? There's a vote. Nods.
Extra spaces that I don't need.
Yeah. Okay, well, there is a script that'll do it
Okay.
very quickly,
Okay, awesome.
but we'll look at that and other stuff.
Yeah.
Okay, so text processing, so there'll be scripts and grep.
Yeah.
We haven't looked at that in a long time. It's been a few years, so maybe that we're due for something like that.
Okay.
So we'll probably have to leave this next time because they're about to shut and kick us out. So please grab some more food because I would have to take it home. Thanks for coming, guys.
Thank you.
Pleasure.